Aaron Michael O'Neill, Hache, born May 5, 1985, is a Canadian policy analyst, legal researcher, and activist known for his work in prosecuting systemic abuses, advocating for constitutional amendments, and challenging governmental overreach. A specialist in advanced recovery, fraud prevention, risk management, compliance, civil rights violations, and harm reduction policy, O'Neill has conducted extensive research on colonial legal frameworks, institutional corruption, and government accountability. His interdisciplinary expertise spans finance, litigation, policy design, landscape architecture, and Indigenous advocacy, with a focus on ensuring equitable access to justice and resources for marginalized communities. A prolific writer, public speaker, and mixed media artist, O'Neill has been published locally, nationally, and internationally, contributing research and creative works to scholarly publications, exhibitions, and policy platforms. His investigations into state misconduct, systemic oppression, and the erosion of democratic institutions have positioned him as a leading voice in contemporary policy reform, particularly in the areas of Indigenous sovereignty, harm reduction, and the decriminalization of drug use. His legal pursuits have led him to prosecute corporate and governmental entities for negligence, discrimination, and obstruction of justice. His advocacy extends beyond legal research to direct intervention, mentorship, and crisis response, often working with vulnerable communities, including sex workers, Indigenous populations, and those targeted by systemic abuse. Through Vulnerable Against Predation Alliance, VIPA, he has spearheaded policy changes, initiated legal actions, and exposed predatory practices across multiple industries. Education and professional background. O'Neill holds a Bachelor of Landscape Architecture from the University of Guelph, 2017, with distinction, where he was active in the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee, Landscape Architecture Mentorship Program, and the Horticulture Club. He previously studied urban development at Western University, 2013, earning multiple academic awards, including the Dean's Honor List and a Letter of Excellence from the Geography Department. His education spans environmental science, urban planning, financial risk analysis, and ecological restoration, integrating policy research with practical design solutions for urban and rural landscapes. In the corporate sector, he has held leadership roles in risk management, finance, consumer protection, and fraud detection, working with institutions such as TD Canada Trust, CIBC, Stantec, and Pro Group. His expertise in mortgage underwriting, financial investigations, and fraud prevention has informed his research into governmental financial mismanagement, economic policy failures, and the impact of corporate lobbying on democratic governance, legal and policy advocacy. A vocal critic of legislative failures in harm reduction, healthcare, and public administration, O'Neill has drafted constitutional amendments, legal petitions, and policy proposals addressing the criminalization of social services and legislators, decriminalization, sex work, drug use, housing insecurity, and systemic failures in mental health services. He has testified in legal proceedings, conducted private prosecutions, and exposed corruption within municipal and federal agencies. His controlled research study on governmental predation demonstrated how state entities exploit transparency demands to avoid accountability, reinforcing his findings on procedural abuses, the failure of democratic safeguards, and the systemic neglect of marginalized populations. His research has been cited in human rights cases, public policy discussions, and international reports on government misconduct. Publications, media appearances, and awards. O'Neill's work has been featured in documentaries, international media outlets, and academic publications, covering topics such as genocidal policies against Indigenous peoples, financial abuses by corporate entities, and the structural failures of the legal, education, and healthcare system. His art, photography, and editorial work have been published in Ontario Association of Landscape Architects, O.A. Leus Letters, Florists Review International Magazine, Western University's Gazette, and Underscore. Key awards and recognitions include Leg of Excellence Award, TD Canada Trust, 2013. Annual Starlight Award, TD Canada Trust, 2010. Photograph was published in a calendar, sold for $500 with 1 million copies distributed. Western Portfolio Collage, 500 signed copies. Team and International Magazine, Florists Review, 2011. Dean's Honor List, Western University, 2013. Feature and Buffer Film Festival Documentary, 2019. CTV published via Mirror Awards for Opening Performance Art and Drag Show in Toronto, 2005. The London Arts Project and Exhibition with 24 of the London most prestigious artists with feature on Mogul. Publications in Radio Canada, 2018, and national exhibitions.